All right, guys, today we have the pleasure of interviewing a couple that we got to meet. We got called for a job that was referenced through some more friends of ours, Eddie and Jody Tunis. We did their siding and roof a few years back, and they referred us to one of their coworkers, and we were able to do this job. And so we did their siding, their soffit, their fascia. We redid the gutters, some windows and some doors. Just cleaned up the whole outside of their house. It was time for an update. They've been here for a long time. This should be a really good interview. These two are a lot of fun. We went down to Amanda Lee Coffee and got them a few coffees, so hopefully that'll help with the conversation. And Ray, one of the guys that were with us at through the TNT playlist that you'll see at the cabin, the 2 nights we stayed at the cabin, 3 days we were there, Ray was with us. Him and his family did the concrete here, and we'll show you some of that as we walk in. But you can see through these photos that it was a big transformation. So we're still going to build them a shed out here on this patio. So but this was a lot of fun, great neighborhood, and this ought to be a great interview. Gene and Kay, they've been married for I think 40 some years. We'll find all that out in the interview. And they've been around this area for all their life, or most of their life. At least Gene has. I'm not sure about Kay, so hopefully we find all that out. All right, let's get right into it. All right, so we didn't change out that window. Maybe they'll have us do that sometime. But we got the rest of this all sided. We still got to get the gutters on. But you can see that the soffit fascia did this shake here. The porch, they already had this stone up, so they didn't want that changed out. We wrapped that cupola up there. This looks nice, huh? New color match numbers. New windows there in the garage. He brought out this. He got a Facebook Marketplace. He wants me to hang it up on their garage. Not a lot of people put eagles up, but he got this one. Looks pretty cool. American Eagle. I'll put it right there on the garage. Alright, so look, they got a nice approach. Look how long this driveway is. It's huge. Ray and his kids are out here. Wife, they're all out here doing this. Nice big driveway. We're gonna build a shed right there. Alright, let's go meet Gene and Kay.
They saw me, I don't have to ring it.
There's their beasts.
Get back. Get back. Come here. Come on. Cooper. Come on. You didn't need to do that.
I know.
Come on.
Like this one's yours, it's got the kiss on it. That's funny how they do that. Put little monkeys on there.
I know.
Oh.
Monkey? Here's some vegetables for you. Oh, thank you. All kinds.
Can I turn the light on? Is that okay?
You like
eggplant? Is that alright?
Never had eggplant. There's 2 kinds. One is the Black Beauty.
One's a Black Beauty.
And then these ones are the first year we've done those.
Cooper, Spike, get out.
But we slice them in
slice them up, we peel them, we slice them up real thin, and then we put them in flour mixture with whatever seasoning you want, and then fry them.
Oh.
Like.
Well, you didn't have a baboon.
Baboon.
Yeah.
So, Gene and Kay Laney. We had the pleasure of working for them, fixing up their house, and they are quite the trip. So, how many years have you been married now?
41.
41 years. That's amazing.
Yeah. It is.
Is it easy?
Huh?
Was it easy? Careful now.
Vietnam was easy compared to living with her for 41 years.
Oh my gosh.
Here we go. That's where we're going to start at. Probably start back at the beginning. So, Gene, you grew up in Defiance. Is that where you were basically born? Okay. So, what was life like back in Defiance, and what year was that, or around what year?
Well, I was born in 1944.
Okay.
So, probably good recollections would start when I was about 6 years old.
Okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Take your time.
My dad, all I can remember about him was that him beating on my mother all the time.
Yeah.
And
what did he do for a living?
supposedly he was a bartender.
Okay. Do you remember the bar's name that he worked at in Defiance?
Well, what I've been told, it was Kissner's Bar.
Oh, Kissner's. Okay.
Uh,
That's still around, isn't it?
yeah, that's still down Defiance. Yeah.
Okay.
He was apparently a drunk, and he had, I guess, some drug issues.
Yeah.
And he used to come home. One uncle worked for Defiance dairy products there in Defiance, which sits on the north side hill there. Mm-hmm. And he would bring my mom milk for us kids. And when the old man came home, he would dump the milk in the sink to keep us kids from getting it. And I remember, the last thing I remember was him was he had my mom on the couch and beating her, and I took a stove poker and whacked him in the head with a stove poker, and he was chasing me down Baltimore when the cops picked him up, and I thought it was because of him beating on my mom.
Yeah.
Because back then there was no such thing as domestic violence laws. And it wasn't. The local authorities plus the FBI arrested him because what he was doing was breaking into boxcars and stealing the morphine and stuff out of these boxcars.
Wow.
And then reselling them.
Yeah.
And when I got to checking back into his past, I got a folder in there. Apparently he was involved in some stuff in Fostoria, Ohio. Him and some guy and another female were involved in drugs down in Fostoria.
Wow.
So he was sentenced in a federal court, and he was sent to a federal penitentiary in Michigan.
Yeah.
And that's the last I remember of him. And where we lived at that time was right across the street from the waterworks.
Okay.
There in Defiance on Baltimore Road.
Yeah.
And across the street and next to us was a tomato factory.
Hmm.
And then next to the tomato factory was Zeller's Corporation, which made Blue Crown spark plugs.
That's cool.
Back then. And I used to sneak over where the tomato factory was and steal me a tomato and go home every now and then. And
Yeah.
a guy caught me doing it, and he talked to my mom and wanted to make sure I wasn't wasting them. But I'd sit on the back porch and eat the tomato.
Like an apple.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
The tomato cake.
but
And the
that's
tomato
where,
cake.
you know, it's really started for me with
Yeah.
back then.
Now
And,
Defiance had the canal too, right?
yep.
So that was still active back in. Do you remember that being
No,
active?
the canal was not active back then.
Okay.
If you come across the North Side Bridge,
Mhm.
Clinton Street Bridge, and if you look off to your right going south, the canal started there,
Okay.
and on the back side would be the west side of Clinton Street as you're going south. All that back through there, clear up past Chief Supermarket
Yeah.
and right on down into Junction,
Hmm.
that was the canal.
Right. I can see some of the remnants of it.
Yeah, and if
all
you're
over.
out around the city dump, there in Defiance, there you can see where it headed off towards the Junction area.
Yep. That's
Back
cool.
there.
But that was shut way before 44 then?
Yeah,
So
that was
must have been in the 30s, huh?
that was shut down. You know, I don't really know when they closed it, but yeah.
Well, that's cool. So from Defiance, about what year did you move to? Well, I mean, I guess what year was your mom like after your dad got? Did things change for her?
Yeah, it got worse for her.
Yeah.
She was trying to raise three of us by herself.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom working 2 and sometimes 3 jobs to keep, you know. And I was in grade school, and then
And you went to grade school, your whole grade school in Defiance then? Did you go to
Yeah.
all your school in Defiance?
yeah.
Okay.
I went to Slocum School, which is not there anymore.
Right.
Slocum School, that where municipal court is.
Okay.
I went to grade school there, and then junior high school.
Municipal court's right there in the middle of town now, right?
No, it's
Okay.
on Perry Street.
Okay.
It'd be Defiance Municipal.
Okay.
And then,
Not at the courthouse.
yeah, it's the courthouse now. And then the high school that sits there in town also had a junior high.
Okay.
So I started my junior high years there. And I got tired of being made fun of. And
Was that because of your money?
money,
Level,
because we
okay.
didn't have the clothing that the other kids were wearing.
Yeah.
And for one thing, and
So Defiance was a pretty posh town then.
yeah,
Bigger town. Some
Yeah.
bigger cities are like that.
and it's just, you know, the kids made fun of me. And then I had teachers not all my teachers, but some of my teachers, you know, would tell, you're going to grow up to be stupid. You're not going to amount to anything when you grow up. So the more I seen that, the madder I got. And I told Mom, I was 15 years old then, I told Mom, I said, I'm quitting school. I want to quit.
Yeah.
And the only way you could quit was you get a special permit, work permit.
Right.
but you had to find a job.
Yeah.
So I got a special work permit.
I think that's still the case.
Okay, and then I found a part-time job.
What was that?
It was putting glass, helping put glass in a hothouse and a flower
Oh.
place because the storm went through and busted out the glass in it.
Yeah.
So I helped do that,
Very cool.
and that ran out.
Yeah.
Then I found another part-time job laying carpet.
Oh.
So I helped lay carpet,
Very cool.
and that guy, business got kind of tight for him, so I lost my job there.
Yeah.
And then there was, found about a job opening over in Paulding County, Ralph Link, laying field tile.
Very cool. That was the
So,
old clay tile too, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a job with him, and I walked behind a ditching machine, pulling them tile off and dropping them down a chute and then stepping on them to make sure they, went in.
Yeah.
And I worked for Ralph for about a year and a half. And it was raining one morning, and I called out to Ralph's house, and I asked his wife, I said, is Ralph going to work today? And she said, Ralph's not going to work anymore. And I thought, he had given up on the business. And what it was, he passed away.
Oh boy.
He died. What happened is he went back out that evening, and he had a formal tractor with a blade in the center, and he would climb up on the mounds of dirt and push it back down in the hole to cover the tile. And he suffered a heart attack, and he fell off backwards, and his foot got stuck between the seat and the gear shift lever, busted his head on the drawbar hitch. The tractor jumped, I think they said it's 3 tile drains before it actually come to a stop. And he was dead before that, from the heart attack. So I lost that job. But then his brother hired me, doing the same thing. And I worked for his brother probably about 6 months. And I found a job at Kingsbury Park. I went down and talked to Spider Shock. And he said he couldn't hire me full time because I was not an adult. I wasn't 18. But he could hire me part time.
Right.
So I went to work with him part time. And when I turned 18, he and I went to a park board meeting and talked to them to see if they would hire me full time. And they did. They hired me full time. And I worked for him for 11 years.
Nice.
And I was working for him when I got drafted. But with Spider, I took care of, between the two of us, we took care of the 2 swimming pools.
Oh.
Kingsbury Pool and Bronson Pool.
They're still there.
Yeah.
So you must have took care of them well if they're still there.
But Bronson Pool wasn't there.
When you first started.
They got the property. But we had to clean out all that brush and stuff. So they made arrangements with the sheriff's department that I could get some county trustees out of the county jail. And I'd take them and we'd go out and we'd cut brush and clear that all out. And we did that, And the fall of the year.
First day of fall.
Huh?
Today's the first day of fall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the fall of the year, when the leaves fell,
Mm-hmm.
I would pick up county prisoners and we would break the parks up.
Oh.
Leaves up in the park, clean it. And then when the pools opened up, he kind of made me a working foreman for him.
Cool.
And we worked out a thing that every other weekend during pool season, every other weekend, I would work both pools. And then the next weekend, he would work both pools. That way we could have a weekend off with the family in there.
Right.
And, but Deal Park, Bronson Park, I don't know how many parks we took care of mowing, and I cut the ball diamonds. Every year I made sure I cut them and float them out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that, but I wanted to be a cop. And I told him.
I can see a few instances already just talking to you why you'd want to be. I mean, they've influenced your life quite a bit. I mean, as a child,
Yeah.
you know, they were big pluses in your life. So I can see why you'd want to kind of sway towards that.
Well, you know, I didn't have a high school education back then, but when I got drafted,
You were 26?
23.
23.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I got drafted, they sent me to Vietnam, and I remember we landed in Cameron Bay early in the morning, and they processed us and stuff, and they got us around, and around 3 o'clock in the morning, they loaded us on C-130s and flew me up in the mountains. They flew me up to Pleiku, and I was with the 4th Division up there. My brother was with the 25th Division in Cu Chi. And I remember the first sergeant, it was raining, and we were standing out in the rain, ready to get processed into our division.
Mm-hmm.
And the company commander came in and told the first sergeant, he said, get them in out of the rain. He said, they're going to spend the next 13 months in the rain.
Oh.
They don't need to do it now.
Right.
And first sergeant asked if anybody in here had family there. And I raised my hand and said, I got a brother over here.
Mm-hmm. How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I got one brother and one sister.
Okay.
And he looked at me and he said, yeah, right. I thought, okay, if that's the attitude you want, that's fine. I'll stay here. I don't care, you know, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother came up to see me, and he and I got into a discussion on who was getting out of there. And I told him I wanted him to go. I was the oldest. I seen pretty much what I wanted to see. Just get out of there and go someplace else.
Yeah.
And well, we got into one of these friendly arguments on who's going to leave and who ain't going to leave.
Right.
Well, he left and went back to Cu Chi, and he talked to his company commander, and his company commander told him, who's ever in country first, and they're the longest, they're the ones that's going to make the decision on who's going to leave. So that left it up to him.
Right.
Because he was there before me and he was there the longest. And the next thing I know, they're pulled me out of the field and getting ready to ship me off to someplace else, wherever. And they give me a sheet to fill out.
Mm-hmm.
And a list of places you could go.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're letting you choose, huh?
Yeah, number one was Hawaii. And then there was another foreign country, I can't remember. There was Korea.
Now, Hawaii back then isn't what it is today, right?
Huh?
Hawaii back then isn't what it is today, though. Was it still pretty established country? I mean,
Yeah,
state, I guess?
Yeah, it's
not a country,
pretty much like it is right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And they had Korea and Okinawa on there, and I thought, there ain't no sense putting down Hawaii because they're going to turn you down because that's, you know.
Yeah.
So I put down South Korea and Okinawa.
Yeah.
And I was hoping I'd hit South Korea because I'm infantry, and they got infantry units there.
So you were infantry army.
Yeah. And I was hoping that's where they'd send me.
Yeah.
Because that's where my brother came from when he went to Vietnam.
Right.
Well, they sent me to Okinawa. So I got to Okinawa and was sent to a replacement company, and they needed MPs. So I got sent to an MP company, the 895th MP Battalion.
Nice.
There in Okinawa, OJTMP.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And I went there, and I was probably there 3 months. That's where I got my first promotion, was with the MP company.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought a whole bunch of school-trained MPs over from the States. They kicked me out of a job.
Hmm.
And so I had to go to personnel. And they told me, you got two choices. You can drive truck or go to a warehouse.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to drive truck over there because those Okinawans are suicide pilots. I mean, they're crazy when they drive.
Right.
So I put in for a warehouse, and I was sent to this company, and it was Subsistence Food Supply. I ship food to Korea, Vietnam, and there in Okinawa to the military installations.
Cool.
And the job I had, I was told that the civilians that I had under me were, some of them were communists.
Yeah.
So when I went to work, I carried a loaded 45 to work there in Okinawa.
Yeah.
And every month I went with this American civilian to the paymaster, and we got a chunk of money out of there, and I would escort that money back to the warehouse.
Mm.
That was to pay the civilians in there.
Wow.
And the colonel that was over me told me that they had pilfering going on in the warehouse, and they wanted to stop to it.
Yeah.
Put a stop to it. And I finally did that. I stopped them from stealing out of the warehouse. So while I'm there, I'm thinking, you know, there's everybody else is running uptown getting drunk on the weekends and stuff.
Yeah.
And I found out they had a GED program there.
Yeah.
So I got enrolled in there and got my high school education. I would work at night there, go to school during the day.
Yeah.
And I got my GED.
Took advantage of it. Yeah. Good. Instead of wasting it.
Right. And then
Nice.
it come down, there was an opening for a sergeant in that warehouse. And he asked me if I wanted to take the sergeant's exam. And
That was big news.
yeah,
How'd you feel at that time? Were you excited or
I
scared?
was, but I was scared
Yeah.
because on the sergeant's exam, I had to study up on current events. I had to study up on refrigeration of food and vegetables, what in different settings and stuff was.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had to go before a three officers rather, promotion board.
Oh boy.
And I don't know how they do it now, but back then, you have 3 officers that be sitting out here.
Mm-hmm.
You would come in the door.
Mm-hmm.
You have a chair sitting here.
Yeah.
You would take 1 step beyond the chair, sidestep over, and a half step back, and you would sit down at attention. You had to be at attention the whole time you're doing this. Sit down at attention.
Mm-hmm.
It was up to them to tell you if to relax or not.
Right.
Then they would start throwing questions at you. And you had to answer them, you know. So I went through this motion, and I went back to my company area, and I thought, no, I didn't make it.
Yeah.
You know.
You thought you didn't.
And yeah,
They don't
no,
tell you right away.
no, Well, it was about, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
I checked the promotion list on the board, and my name's on there.
As sergeant. Very nice.
Yeah, so I made Sergeant E5. I had a couple letters of commendation from my colonel in there. And so when I came home into Oakland, California, they asked me if I wanted to re-up. And at that time, they would have promoted me to staff sergeant, a $3,000 re-up bonus, and my choice of duty for 1 year.
Yeah.
Of where I wanted to go.
Wow.
But after that, I'd have to go back to Vietnam again.
Yeah.
And I had a wife at home, and now I want to go home.
Yeah.
So I came back home, and Spider Shock come back out and seen me and asked me if I wanted to go back to work for him. And I said, yeah, but I said, I want you to understand. I said, I want to be a cop, and, you know, if I find an opening, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
And he said, no problem.
And what was your driving factor? Was it the retirement? Was it the job itself? I mean, what made you?
Want to be a cop?
Yeah. Set on being a cop.
2 old cops.
2 old. Okay. People you met.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of them was Shorty Grant, was a police officer, and he was on the corner every day. The school was open.
Mm-hmm.
They'd let us out for lunch. We could go uptown. And Shorty was up there.
Yeah.
And what Shorty was, you could talk to him. If you treated him with respect, he treated you with respect. And that's the way Shorty was. And if you mouthed off to him and you got whopped upside the head,
Yeah.
you deserved it. There ain't no sense going home and say, hey, Mom, the cop uptown hit me upside the head. Mom's not going to ask me why. She's going to whop me upside the other side of the head. Because that's just how we were raised.
Right.
You respect, you know, them.
Yeah.
So I respected old Shorty. And then Toad Amelia, which is gone. He's gone now. Toad, I got hooked up with him. And my wife and I lived in an apartment there in Defiance.
Mm-hmm.
And he would swing down in the alley and throw his spotlight up in the window. And I'd get around and go down, and I would ride with Toad. And we'd be all over, you know.
Yeah.
And Toad was another one.
You could talk to.
You could talk to. If you treat him respect, he'd give you respect.
Right.
And I was working at the park department.
Yeah.
I was working security, checking buildings at night on top of that. And I went over to Defiance City PD, and I asked the chief at that time, I said, if I pay for my own schooling, could I go to school?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, but you got to have a department that will sponsor you. I said, I got the money to pay for my own schooling.
He said, saved up from everything you've done, yeah.
Right. And then that Defiance City PD sponsored me.
Nice.
So I went to basic law enforcement school. I was working 8 hours during the day.
Sounds like a trend here. You did that a lot.
Yeah.
Worked all day and school all night.
Yeah. And then, you know, doing the security and the school on top of that.
Yeah.
And I made it through school. And surprised me, I even got an A on my notebook.
Good.
You know, I mean...
surprised you, huh?
Yeah. And...
Well, I think you're pretty smart, Gene.
If I was smart, I wouldn't have become a cop.
Yeah. Oh, it's got a good retirement.
You know, but the idea was there to help people. And I guess one of the things was from what happened to me growing up in Defiance.
Yeah.
And I was accused of rape.
Yeah.
Okay. I was on my way home. And of course at 15, 16 years old, you're kind of on the cocky side.
Yeah.
And I had a young cop stop me in the Sulphur Hollow on Jackson Street. And it was stick my hands in here in the car. Show me your hand and turn them over. Do this. What's this? What's that? I said, they're Acme peppers. He said, I never heard of them. I said, well, the doctor can tell you, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm mouthing more or less with him. And I go on home. I didn't know there was a rape in there,
Yeah.
you know. So I go home. The next day, this young cop in Shorty Grant came to where my mom worked.
Yeah.
And this young officer told my mom that I raped this girl. Shorty Grant said, no way. He said, I know. The family said, no.
Right.
My mom got so mad she ran him out of the kitchen with a skillet. And
Well,
yeah,
mom was tough, you can tell. Yeah.
and Shorty told him, you're wrong. Well, a couple of days later, they found the one that raped this girl. And she was selling candy bars for the school. And she went down in the Sulphur Hollow to point out to sell. And she was raped in there. But they found the guy that raped. Okay, so that kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
You know. And I run around with some of the worst guys in Defiance you could run around with.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't take crap from nobody. And I know one individual, when they used to have bar fights in Defiance, so they would, who's fighting? they'd mention his name, and the next thing you know, you got 3 city cars and 2 county cop cars sitting at the bar because of him.
Yeah.
You know, so I know what it was like to grow up that way. And after I became a cop, it rubbed off with the people I dealt with because I see where they come from.
Yeah.
They come from the same mold I did. And when you talk to these people, you can't talk over them, over their head.
Yeah.
You talk to them.
Right.
Okay, not at them, you talk to them.
Right.
And I got friends that's in jail, that's been in jail, that still talk to me.
Yeah.
And here in Defiance.
They're easy to talk to.
Yeah, I'll say that. I am easy to talk to.
Yeah.
Other than my wife, she don't, you know. But, you know,
I'm taking notes.
There you go.
you
I'm taking notes.
I don't care.
All right. So you became a cop there in Defiance, right? Just
Yeah.
a normal police officer.
No,
You were in the sheriff's too.
Well, I had security service in Defiance.
Okay.
And then when I got through law enforcement school,
Right.
I went to Paulding PD because I heard they had an opening. So I went over there, and that chief looked at me and said, no, he said, you wouldn't make a good cop. You know, you're too small, you're not going to make a good cop. So, okay.
Maybe he's testing you.
Well, he wound up getting arrested later on himself.
Oh.
And I came up here to Hicksville and put an application in. And we lived,
Because Hicksville's still in Defiance County, so you
Right.
thought it was okay.
yeah. And we lived just inside of Paulding. And there was I think it was a Saturday or a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a Hicksville PD car pulling in. Oh, why is he here?
Right.
We're, you know. So I went out and it was old Norm Cottrell. Norm says, you still want a job?
Now, what year was this about?
78.
78. Okay.
Yeah. And I said, yeah, you know. He said, be at council meeting on Monday night.
Hmm.
So I came up council meeting on Monday night. Norm introduced me to council and went through all of that. And they agreed to hire me. And I got hired and I started working up here with Hicksville PD. And I worked probably 6 months up here. And the sheriff's department offered me $500 more a year if I would come down to the sheriff's department.
Right.
So I went down to the sheriff's department.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there about 6 months, and they got a new chief up here. He offered me $500 more a year to come back, but with the rank of sergeant.
Awesome.
So
How could you pass that up?
yeah, I told him, I said, I got to think about it first.
Yeah.
Because Tommy Gallant was up here, and I got with Tom on one night on third shift, and I said, this is what they offered me.
Yeah.
But I said, I want to know something. I don't want to take anything away from you. You know, if you want the sergeant's position, I said, I won't take the job.
Yeah.
And
nice of you.
Tom said he didn't want it. because he had his canine. So I said, okay, then I'll come back.
Yeah.
So then I came back, and I was here 21 years, and I came up through the ranks. And when the chief's job came open, I put in for it, and they turned me down. Okay, and they hired BWAC. And there was some problems in there later on with him, and the job came open again.
Yep.
So I put in for it again, and this time around,
You got it.
I got
And
it.
what year was that?
Oh my God.
81.
I was going to say about 81.
81, 82, okay.
Yeah. And
You became chief of police in
Yeah.
Hicksville, Ohio. Wow.
yeah,
Very cool.
well, you know,
No, not 81. I was working down the sheriff's department. 90?
no, I think you're about 89,
89.
maybe about 89.
Yeah, 89.
But
This kid from Defiance.
yeah,
You'd have never believed it back then, huh? But you were
Yeah.
kind of set on being there, and you made it. You had a goal, and you set yourself to it.
yeah. And if I wanted to took the initiative in Okinawa to get my GED, I'd have never made it.
Right, you could have just blew it all away.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And I made up my mind back when I was a kid growing up, and the kids making fun of me and the teachers and stuff.
Right.
I made up my mind that I'm going to show you I'm not what you say I am.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be like my old man.
Yeah, that's good.
And I never laid a hand on a woman.
Of course, if you did, she'd just knock you out. Bro. I'm pretty sure she can take you.
I forewarned him about it.
Yeah, well,
You better be sleeping with one eye open.
Yeah, you gotta sleep at some point.
I've done that too, you know. But no, I made up my mind that I'm going to show you people I'm not that way.
Yeah.
And all the classes that I took up in law enforcement schooling in Toledo and London, Ohio and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of those classes I took,
Did you end up paying for all that yourself?
no, these came,
They picked it up. Good.
yeah. And all these classes that I took, some of them carried college credits,
Yeah.
you know. Man,
I can
I must
imagine.
have a little bit of brain. I got, you know.
Yeah. That's what you do. Look where you ended up. I mean, just your life alone shows you've got brains. You've set goals. You've accomplished things. You've done all the things you want to do. You're definitely one of the smart ones. I would say.
Well, see, that's where I have a problem with myself, because I don't think I'm smart. I mean,
Right. Well.
I don't know how to put it.
That you know everything.
Huh?
That you know everything.
Well, if I did, I wouldn't be married to you.
Yeah, you would.
Oh, gosh.
What an idiot.
But
41 years of this.
You
I
think
just-
you're not smart. You're just humble. You're smart.
Yes. Maybe
I,
that's what he's looking for.
you know,
He does not brag.
no, and when it, just like now, there's times I feel like I'm bragging, you know.
Yeah. You feel
But
like you're bragging. Well, you're not.
I think one of the things that, for me, is kids. If kids can take something away from me, and become something.
Then you've done it.
Yeah, you know. And I got kids that are not kids anymore, they're adults that still call me Chief
I do, yeah.
and still remember me going into schools and talking to them.
Yeah.
There's a little pizza gal that delivers pizza here. And every time I open up the doors to get the pizza, how you doing, Chief?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what we recognize. I saw you all around town my entire life. Never really knew you that much, but I knew you were Chief Laney. I've had interactions with you uptown, up there across from the school, different instances, seen you in different things. Always was around. I've always enjoyed your manner, your the way I had talked to you, the way I'd seen. I didn't know you very well, but the things that I saw you do, I was impressed by. I mean, I've seen some police officers that are completely opposite, and people see that. Whether I don't know, even though people don't say things, people notice, especially if you're in public eyesight, like chief of police, police officers, doctors, nurses. The whole community's watching you. I mean,
Yeah.
you may not realize that, but they do. Okay.
Yep.
And so they don't know you like I've gotten to know you since working here, but they see what you do in your work and things. And I was always impressed with the things you did. I liked the way you carried yourself as a police officer, and I thought you did a good job. You were very stern. You took charge when you needed to, but yet you were approachable. And even as a kid, I felt that way. So that was great. I think it was a great role model as a police officer. Should be.
Yeah.
I think you could train some guys, honestly. I'm sure you have, but continue to.
You know, the things that I remember back here, like the kids in front of the school smoking and across the street, you know.
Yeah.
The people on that street was raising Cain about them being over there.
Yeah.
And when I talked to them the first time, I told them, you can't congregate or stand around here, but if you move up and down this street and you don't block the movement of other people,
Yeah.
I can't do anything.
Yep.
You're legally moving up and down the street. And I said, you know, if you don't do that, then I got to do something.
Right.
So I said, we're going to learn a new word today, and it's motivation.
Motivation.
Motivate up and down the street or sidewalk.
Yeah.
So I used to, when I'd pull over in front of the school, they'd start walking. And I'd yell over, let's motivate, and, you know.
Yeah.
The last day of school, I pulled up in front of the school. They're not moving. And I yelled over about, let's motivate. They still ain't moving. And I thought, damn it. So I get out of the car and I walk over there and I said, hey guys, you gotta motivate.
Yeah.
And they opened up and they had one big coffee and a great big donut. So there I sat, and I got my coffee and my donut, and the lady that's doing all the complaining is looking out her bay window and all this. And I thought, what
Here
the
we
hell?
go. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the last day of school. What the hell?
Yeah.
You know?
And you were with them all the time. I mean, you spent a lot of time over there when the kids come out. Yep.
Yeah.
I was eating across from the school. I was probably one of those kids.
Yeah. I won't mention any names.
Yeah.
But there was one lady in town. She used to call me up on the phone and she'd say, I can't get my boy up, make him go to school. Can you come over here and do it? I'm thinking, that's not what my job is.
Yeah.
Okay. I said, I'll be over. So I'd go over and I'd get him out of bed and make him get dressed and get him off to school. I did that about
In your uniform, too. Huh?
Yeah. I did this about 3 or 4 times. It's finally one day I went over there to get him up for school. And I told him, I said, this is the last time. Because I said, from here on out, if you ain't dressed and out of here in school and I come over, I'm going to take you out of this school in your underwear right straight up to the classroom and cuff you to the chair and leave you there. I said, that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
Never went back to the house to get him up, go to school.
You got up and went.
Got up and went.
Well, that did it. You probably thought it'd do it just showing up to your uniform. Yeah. And after 3 times, you were done.
Yeah, I had enough.
Got time for that.
But I mean, those are some of the funny things that, that happened.
Yeah. You took care of situations and you kept light of it, so it didn't make it worse. You solved the problem instead of making it a worse problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I had one I had one traffic ticket book.
Yeah.
And I had for 21 years. Yeah, I might have wrote 2 tickets on there because I had to.
Yeah.
But that's like early in the morning, I stopped the car on Arthur Street for speeding. Mm-hmm. And I walked up to the car and he had a pickup truck. He said I was on my way to work. I'm late for work. And I said, yeah. And I said, you're a lot later now, ain't you? And I held my flashlight in the truck and kept looking at his shoes. And I said, steel toes? Yeah. I said, you might want to wear tennis shoes to work. That way, I said, it won't be hard on the gas pedal.
Must be heavy.
I said, yeah. I said, just slow it down and get out of here.
Yeah. But you were making sure, that you were trying to solve the problem. You weren't just trying to write tickets.
Yeah.
If you needed to, you did, and if you didn't, you didn't. That was great.
But see, he's going to remember that squirrely cop that pulled him over and looked at his shoes.
Yeah, and made the comment.
Yeah.
It's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
He's going to get, it's a good way to do it. See, smart.
I don't know. I pulled a guy out in front of the bank.
Creative.
Yeah, I'm crazy. I got a guy out of a car up there in front of the bank one day. On the weekend, I pulled him over out of state.
Yeah.
And I asked him to get out of the car so we can get in front of the car and talk. My God, when he got out of the car, I just sat there and I kept going and going and going and going and going. I said, my God, this guy's big. And here I stand out there talking to him, looking up at him. And he's looking down at me. People driving by real slow.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said, you want to have some fun? I don't care. Okay. So I stand on the hood of the car and talk to him. There I am on the hood of the car, and there he is. We're talking to each other. People driving by. What the hell is going on? You know?
Right. Police officer on the car.
So I get down and I said, you can go on your way. He said, why did you stop me in the first place? I said, because there's a traffic light back here. I didn't know, big deal. I said, I got what I wanted out of it. I said, get on out here and be careful,
Yeah. Crazy. Always having fun, huh?
Yeah, you got to have a sense of humor with this job. But there comes a time when you got to be firm.
Yeah. And you have to know in your mind you're firm, right?
Yeah. But when you're being firm, don't be...
Abrasive.
Yeah, because that'll get you...
It makes it it's like throwing fuel on a fire. It just accelerates the whole attitude of everybody. If you stay light, it can calm the situation down. You know what I'm saying? Makes sense.
I walked into a bar fight by myself because I was the only one working. And when I came in the bar, this here up here says, "Oh shit, this is gonna hurt." And I came in, and there were two guys that from Hicksville that I dealt with over the years.
Yeah. So you knew what you were in for.
And they didn't say anything, they just looked at me. And over here is a bunch of guys giving me a raft of crap on my way back to the bar fight.
Yeah, of course.
But I heard these two guys yell at him, "Why don't you keep your mouth shut?" I don't like that SOB, but I respect him.
Yeah.
And I knew that my back was covered from these two.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't like me, they respected me.
Yeah.
And that was...
They might have liked you too, but they can't admit that in the middle of a bar in a bar fight. But either way.
Yeah. But that, like down there at the jail, if you treat them with respect, you won't have the problems. But
Right.
once they give you a problem, you better take care of it and do it right.
Yeah.
And those guys down at the jail, I was in and out of the cells with them.
Yeah.
I sat with a guy that was convicted of murder. I sat in a cell with him by just the two of us because he had wanted to talk.
Yeah.
And,
You were there.
yeah.
That's a lot. It means a lot. Most
Yeah.
people, I know people that would just shrug them off and tell them they weren't worth the time. What they did was wrong, and so piss on them. And you took the time to care. That's the difference.
He's telling me how...
It's not going to change what's happening to them in their life, but, why can't you at least talk to them or give them some... Be there when they need them,
Yeah.
They're still humans.
One of his questions was to me, how do you deal with it? How am I going to deal with this? And one of the things I told him, will you be so kind when you come back? One of the things I told him, it will never.
Never gets easy.
It will never go away. It'll always be back here. There'll be certain things, certain sounds that will bring it back. But you gotta learn to deal with it. But you pack it away and kind of hope it kind of stays back there for a while, but it still comes back every now and then. And, that's
how you deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's been fun. I'm 78 years old and people get aggravated with me, especially
Especially your wife.
Yep.
You have good rapport with all your neighbors. They all love you too. So you can tell over time. How long have you been at this house?
40 years.
It'll be 40 years in February. Been here 39.
Very cool. So you moved over here because of your job?
Yeah, I didn't have a choice. Back then, they had to live in town. But even that law has changed now, too.
So was chief of Hicksville probably your favorite job out of all of them? Or would you say the sheriff or the park? Which one do you think you enjoyed the most?
You know, it's going to sound stupid, but all of them.
Because they made you who you were.
Here, I got kids in the park when I was down there, okay? And these are poor kids.
Yeah.
Come down and Gino, yeah? They started calling me Gino. That's how I got my nickname, is from down there.
Okay.
We pick up paper so we can get a free pass swimming pool.
Hmm.
Yeah. You know, clean up the park for me and I'll get you your passes for the pool.
Nice.
And that went on all summer long. And the kids wrote me a note, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but they signed my name, G-E-N-E-O, Gino.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you go out to the cemetery, my headstone out there, my nickname, G-E-N-E-O.
Because of those kids.
Those kids.
Yeah.
And I had kids come down and I watched them, 2 brothers. And they were in the garbage can. And they were getting stuff out of the garbage can. And I said, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Getting breakfast.
Yeah.
And I said, no more.
That's a hard way to do it.
You come and see me in the morning. No more eating out of the garbage can.
Yeah.
And I'd give them a couple of bucks, and they'd go up to the restaurants that used to be there in Kingsbury. They'd go up to the restaurant and get them something to eat. And I was down there working one day, and I had some people that I worked with going to college, because they hired college kids down there. And I said to this kid, these 2 little boys, I said, come lunchtime, I said, will you guys do me a favor? And what's that? I said, will you go up here to the restaurant, get me a cheeseburger and order fries for me? And I gave him a $20 bill, and I said, get yourself something.
Yeah.
Okay? So they took off. These kids, they'll never come back.
Yeah.
They went back. They got your money. They ain't coming back. I said, oh yeah, they'll be back. Wasn't long, here they come back. With my cheeseburger, my fries, and my change.
Nice.
And I had one of those boys in jail when I was down there. And he remembered.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, his mother and father at that time were heavy into drugs and alcohol, and they wouldn't even get out of bed to try and get him anything to eat. So they'd come down and get it out of the garbage can.
Wow.
But he remembered.
Yeah. So then later on in life you met him again and he remembered you, huh?
Yep. You know, it just, stuff like that. There's people here in town, like,
That's what made it
help.
worthwhile, huh? All the good stuff you were able to help people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not,
Is your brother and your sister still around?
my brother's dead. My sister lives over on Whetstone Road.
Oh,
You
cool.
know,
Good one.
yeah. My brother died of cancer, and I think it was Agent Orange.
Could be.
My family, my brother-in-law was with the 82nd Airborne in Vietnam. He died of cancer.
Yeah.
My brother was with the 25th Infantry Division in Cu Chi. He died of cancer.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking it was Agent Orange on both their parts.
Yeah. My best friend's dad died of Agent Orange cancer. Yep.
You know,
From Agent Orange.
Mm-hmm.
you know.
My dad served in Vietnam, but he was stationed in Hawaii, place you didn't put down. Yeah, he ended up there. So
Yeah. Things happen in Vietnam I don't care to talk about.
I don't blame you.
And there's other things that are, I mean, kind of stupid, you know, in a way. Like when my brother came up to visit me, we found out there was a Bob Hope movie being seen.
Mm-hmm.
So we went over to this tent. We're sitting over there drinking their beer, eating their popcorn, watching Bob Hope.
Mm-hmm.
The sergeant comes barreling in and yelled, "Hey, battery's got an alert." Everybody boogied out but him and I.
Yeah.
And that sergeant said, "Didn't you hear what I said?" He said, "I said, A battery has an alert." I said, "We ain't artillery, we're infantry." And we got the hell out of there and went back to our own company.
Yeah.
But we were drinking their beer and eating their popcorn.
Yeah.
Oh, you know.
Well, you were going to do their duties.
Yeah.
That's funny. Sounds like you had decent times. Yeah, I'm sure there were some fun times too. But I wouldn't want to be there. I know I wouldn't want to see war. I never had to do that. I didn't go to Desert Storm or anything. Kind of missed that whole thing. I never had to deal with war.
I had a guy come up to me and he said one time about he wished that he would, you know, could have went. I said, "No, you don't. No."
Yeah.
You know, when I was in Okinawa, they assigned me and wanted me to show 2 Vietnamese lieutenants around for a couple of days. And I showed them they wanted to go uptown some night. And I was told that we do not go uptown civvies with them, that they have to be in uniform, and I did too.
Yeah.
Well, the reason for that is that's so we don't get in too much trouble.
Yeah.
But I took them uptown, we moseyed around. And that was Lieutenant Ding and Lieutenant Dong.
Something.
South
That's
Vietnamese
crazy.
Army. I got pictures of them. Both of them were school teachers.
Lieutenant Ding, Lieutenant
Lieutenant
Dong.
Dong. And after the fall of Saigon, I wondered whatever happened to them guys. Because anybody over there that was affiliated with the South Vietnamese Army or Americans, they're probably dead.
Yeah.
But, you know, I took them uptown and showed them around. And there's no big deal. Then what they done on top of that, when the company I was with, they brought a kid in from Vietnam and stuck him in my outfit there, waiting to be transported to the States to keep an eye on him. And the only reason they did that is because he come out of the 4th Division, the division I came out of. He got a Dear John letter from his wife, and he went berserk. And so I spent time with him waiting for them to get the paperwork and stuff around and personnel to transport him back to his states because he was off mentally. And I thought I'd be nice to him because they had him locked up in a cage. I thought, well, it'd be nice.
They thought he was going to kill himself or something?
Yeah.
Or somebody else?
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
And I took him outside to get a little fresh air. And all of a sudden he got the rabbit habit, and the way he went, and I'm running him around, and we got into a wrestling match out the parking lot. It got him corralled, got him back in and locked up.
Yeah.
But they finally got him around and sent him back to the States. But I don't know whatever happened to him. You know, I just...
You wonder, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't all good, huh? Some people went crazy over there. From different things, not all just the war.
Yeah.
Lose their wives or something at home would happen. And not just that, the craziness that was going on over there. There were some crazy things going on over there too. So that'd be hard.
Yeah.
Hard to deal with. So you were married, were you married to Kay at that time?
No.
You know, that was your first wife, right?
First
Kay's
wife.
your second wife?
No, Kay's my fourth.
Kay's your fourth wife, okay.
Yeah. No, my first wife, it's gonna sound kind of stupid, but when I came home on leave for 30 days before I went over, I told her if you find a boyfriend while I'm over there, I don't want to know about it.
Yeah.
And let's try, when I come home, let's try and pick things back up if we can.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how I'm coming home.
Yeah. You didn't want to leave her. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if I'm coming home with a body bag, if I'm coming home with a leg missing, arm missing.
Sure.
You know.
You didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
So you didn't want to restrict her. Sure.
So she found her boyfriend and things happened, and I don't really blame her for all of it.
Yeah.
You know, not like the fourth wife, and it caused you more problems and headaches. But
You're a jerk.
I'm a what?
You're a jerk.
Yeah, well.
But I love you anyway.
Mm. Yep. No.
So, very cool. You got any questions for him?
I don't think so.
Well, I'm about 5'4" now. I've shrunk. I used to be
Shrunk a little
five.
bit?
Yeah, I used to be
Yeah.
5'9".
I feel like you were taller. But I might have been just smaller.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's funny. So,
He's a good man.
No, I ain't.
Yeah, you are.
I believe that.
Just a man.
You're a good man.
Yeah, there are bad men and good men. You're one of the good ones.
Yeah.
No, if you go in there and she feed you a bunch of crap, really.
Okay, so doesn't have to do with work or anything, but what's probably your most favorite thing you've ever done in life? Could
Married
have been
me.
somewhere you went, could have been someone you met, could have been something you did, could be anything. The one thing that sticks in your mind, hey, this is the most exciting thing I've ever done, and I'll remember it forever. I have an idea, but
Meeting your fourth wife.
I don't want to put things in your mind. I want you to go over it. Could be anything.
I don't know.
Could be your child, your first child you had. Any of your children. How many kids did you have? Do you have?
I got one son by my first marriage, and I got a son by this marriage.
The 2 boys.
I don't think that's a fair question.
Why?
Because I think that having your kids
Okay, that's
and
already
being
assumed.
with
Let's
who
say
you're,
not
you know, your
children.
lifelong partner
I don't wanna put
that
him
you're
on the spot
happy
either. I
with
just wanted
is
some-
a very
let's say one
big
exciting
milestone
moment in your life that you probably never
Something
do again.
else that is exciting. Not being your loved ones, I would say. That's more
Not being
fair.
loved ones.
That's
It's
more fair.
Something exciting.
Something that you enjoyed.
Could have been while you were serving as a police. Maybe something happened. I know you dealt with the KKK there for a while. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't know what was exciting for you.
Yeah, that was a fun night.
You went to Washington and saw the
Arlington.
Arlington Cemetery.
Yeah.
That's probably pretty amazing.
That was special. The whole time I was there, I didn't smoke. And I didn't cuss. That's
Respect.
hollow ground.
Yeah.
My niece been bugging me to go to the wall. I can't go to the wall.
It's too much.
Okay. And Arlington, that's where the heroes are. I'm not a hero. You know, had places where, you know, they call you a hero. No, I'm not a hero. The heroes are at your cemeteries, Arlington Cemetery, the guys who served and died in these
Gave
places.
everything,
Yeah, they gave everything.
You gave most, they gave everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never done this. She knows. And I'm going to tell you. The day that I climbed on that plane in Cameron Bay to fly out of Vietnam, I sat there and I watched these guys come aboard, going home. These guys served 13 months there. And I'm running out. I felt like a coward because I was leaving. And I have felt that way for years. And I am a coward. And I cannot go to that wall for that reason. And I realized that I didn't have a say in the matter to leave. But that don't change what's in here. You know?
Yeah. But you're not a coward.
Well, to me, it's you know, that's the way I am. I ran out and left them behind.
I see that. It's a brotherhood there. But you did serve your time. I mean, you're not a coward.
Yeah,
Hindsight's 50-50. We can always go back and change things. Everything. You look back at times and you could change a lot of different things in your life. But at the moment, you made the choice that you made. You got to live with that.
yeah, I mean, I do.
A coward is one that took off to Canada.
Yeah.
Those are the
Deserved it.
cowards.
They're the
Yeah,
cowards,
yeah.
right? You went and served. You're not a coward.
That's like when I was 18, I enlisted. Me and a buddy. We enlisted. Well, we went to the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And my buddy was about 6 foot. And they looked at him and they said, well, I'll take him.
Well, yeah.
But
Oh, boy.
I won't take you. You wouldn't make a good Marine. Okay.
I think you would.
Yeah. So he said, no. If you don't take him, you ain't taking me. So we went over to the Army. Signed up. And we went to Fort Hays, Columbus for a physical.
Mm-hmm.
He passed his physical. I didn't. I got classified as 4F. So I came home. Well, I wanted to get married. So no, I better find something out first. So I went to draft board and I said, this lady, I said, you know, I'm 4F. I said, you guys going to draft me? Oh, she said, that was that classification. We're not going to draft you. I said, well, I want to know because I want to get married. If you're going to draft me, then I don't want to get married. You know, no, we're not going to draft you. August 6th of 66, I get married. March 67, I get this letter in the mail. It says, greetings. You are to report to Cleveland, Ohio for induction. So I went to Cleveland, took the physical, and wound up in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Wow. So that lasted, what, 8 months?
It was 8 weeks in Fort Benning, and they shipped me right out of Fort Benning, a whole bunch of us, on graduation day. They called your name off, and you went over here. Well, everybody went over here. Guess what? You were loaded on buses and sent to Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Wow.
So I went to Fort Polk for 9 weeks for jungle school and RVN training. Came home for 30 days and then went overseas.
Wow.
Yeah.
That quick.
Yeah.
They
9 weeks.
gave you some training before they sent you over there.
Well, see, I had a set of orders cut for me to go to Panama for jungle expert school.
Mm.
And that is the same time that Johnson was shipping 150,000 troops to Vietnam, and that was part of that movement.
Mm-hmm.
So that school got cut out, and I got sent home for 30 days and then went.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All history from there.
Yeah. I can't think of anything.
You got stories for days, though. That's what I loved about. I mean, it cut down on my work time when I was there working, but I love the stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're still sharp. I can't remember stories like that. And I'm only 45. You're 76, 8.
Bless you.
78.
70. How old?
78.
You're 78 years old. Still sharp as a whip, I think. Sharp as a tack.
Well, it depends on who you talk to. You know. She
Does
said,
he forget a
"What?"
lot?
No, not really. I mean, he remembers a lot in the past.
Than short-term memory.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, there's sometimes I'll tell him something and he don't remember it or whatever. But we're all that
We're
way.
all that way. He's probably always been that way.
Yeah, he's just, you know.
It's not age.
No.
I remember things back here, stupid stuff, you know, like chasing a chimpanzee around in front of the high school.
And where'd the chimpanzee come from? Got loose from the circus?
No, there was a guy over in Sherwood at that time that had a chimpanzee. And he brought it over here to show, she's gone now.
Joe.
Yeah. She used to have the bar down in
Glore.
Sherwood. Glore?
Yeah.
So he brought it over to show her.
Yeah.
Well, while he's there, they gave him a beer, for one thing. And they decided they'd like to have a picture of the chimpanzee on the Harley. So they put him on the Harley and took the chain off of him, and away he went.
He took off.
He's over here in front of the school, and I get a call about this chimpanzee. And I get over there, and I'm thinking, somebody's pulling your leg, you know, but you get over there and you look up the flagpole, and there he is, clear up the top. And he's got that sucker going all over the place. And how are you going to get him down? And I was working with another officer that night. And down the flagpole he come and out on the sidewalk. And I walked over and I thought maybe I put out my hand, you know. He gets his paw in there, I get him that way. And they're mean. They can beat you snotless, you know.
Yeah.
And he put his paw in there. He kept watching me, and he'd slide it out. Well, I sat down on the curb, and he sat down on the curb. Well, maybe I can get him this way. I'd slide down a little bit, and he'd slide down a little bit. And then all of a sudden, away he'd go on up the flagpole. And I thought, how are you going to get him down, you know? It's starting to get dark, and I'm afraid that if he gets around some house where he crawls up and looks in the window, scare the crap out of somebody, drops dead of a heart attack.
Or anything, yeah.
You know, and how am I going to get him down? We talked to the dog warden. Dog warden says no. He said, I can't use my darts on him because you don't know how much, you know. So I called Fort Wayne Zoo. Fort Wayne Zoo says, no, we can't come across the state line for that. Okay. He went up the tree that sits over there. There he was up the tree. And I'm standing underneath the tree. And the owner's standing next to me. And he's up there and he's tearing his diaper apart.
Oh,
and I got a pea-treated diaper, parts all over my bald head, down my shirt. And some kid was standing there and he says, you want me to go get my BB gun? And I said, yeah, go get me your BB gun. He went and got the BB gun. And he's bare butt hanging out. And I said, okay. And I popped him in the butt with a BB, and down out of that tree he came, jumped right in the guy's arms.
That's funny.
Reverend Turnbull had pictures. Oh,
That's hilarious.
yeah. You know.
You spanked him. Chimpanzee. That's insane. Right in Hicksville. Yeah, I know deer went through windows and everything.
Yeah.
Stuff going on. The pigs were loose. There's a lot of animals going on in Hicksville, huh?
Right.
I never heard of the chimpanzee story. That's cute.
Yeah, the officer that worked with me that night, he was so damn mad at me, it's where he didn't quit. You know, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, what can you do? You can't. You did what you could.
It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. BB gun's not gonna hurt him.
No, just
I shot my sister with one accident. I didn't think there was anything in it. I was gonna scare her. Like I shook it and everything, didn't hear nothing. Pointed at her and shot, and there was one in it. And it stung her good, but didn't hurt her.
my brother. I ticked him off when we were kids.
Yeah.
I was sitting on a toilet stool. And he had his BB gun and he kicked that bathroom door open and shot me right in the butt.
Oh boy.
That old blister.
Yeah. I bet. Yeah, we played BB gun wars. We wore glasses and shot each other as kids. The boys did down at the river. We put safety glasses on and shoot you. But they were just the one pump Daisy. You know, they weren't that powerful. You could watch the BB gun. You know, the bullet kind of go like that and fall. It's almost like throwing hard. But they'd sting if they hit you. You know, but we'd wear clothes and stuff. Now, today, the BB guns are a little stronger. They pump them up, and you'd hurt somebody big time. I would not recommend that to anybody.
No.
No.
But back in the day, the BB guns, you could literally watch the BB go like in an arch. You had to shoot above your target because it kind of fall into it. It wasn't as strong as they are today.
Yeah, it's...
But we did crazy things. Kids are crazy. My kids never really did anything crazy. Do you think so?
Corbin was pretty crazy.
Yeah,
that's why I
he
tell
never
you.
really did anything
No,
crazy.
not like he never got in trouble or anything, but I mean, he got in trouble from us.
Yeah,
He did things like climb on the garage roof, and
Oh yeah, he did.
he liked fire, lit our living
Go
room
outside,
flowers
get
on
out,
fire, and I just had a feeling, oh, it's quiet, I
Oh my
better go look.
gosh.
Just
I walked
climbing
out of the
around.
bathroom, and there, the living room had a table sitting there, and the artificial flowers were in flames, and the black started to go up the wall, and he's just standing there
like this,
watching
not
it.
yelling, Mom, or
Just
nothing,
amazed,
watching
and I'm
the
like,
fire. Just keep
oh my
making it
gosh.
bigger.
Oh my gosh.
So when he was younger,
thought we were in
he was a hellion,
Wow.
but he grew out of it. He's not like that at all anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, he
yeah.
still likes fire, but he doesn't
Like I'll have him help start the
I thought he was,
campfire
you know,
and
gonna
stuff
be
like
in
that.
trouble
He will, but
doing
doesn't play with
things
it
like,
again.
you know, a little more like Jeff was.
I don't know.
But he was that
out of
age.
it. He scared me when he was little. You know?
I always called him Wild Man, and because he was a little on the wild side, but not anymore.
He calmed right down.
Mm-hmm.
All my kids were like that. They were small and wild and skinny, and then they hit about 8, and they just blew up. Tall, and Trinity's lost weight again though. Quentin and Corbin are both big boys like me. 6 foot and broad chested, 250 pounds.
Wow.
Serenity, she was bigger too when she was little, and then she's lost weight again. Yeah. But that's what Tammy did too.
That's what I did too. She was about the same
Tammy was
age. She
bigger,
started
and then she
making
lost
it.
weight right about 18. And got skinny. I don't know how. Just out of nowhere. Because when I met her, she was 15. And she was bigger. She was heavier. And about 18, she's turned into what she is now. Out of nowhere. Serenity did the same thing.
Well, that's like David. When he was heavy,
Yeah.
the kids used to make fun of him
Yeah, me
over
too.
grade school.
Yeah.
And now look at him.
No,
Kid works his butt off. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He's always doing something.
more than he'd say for his old man.
Oh my gosh.
Of course, I ain't figured out who the old man is yet.
I don't know, Ron Reinhardt walked in the gas station at one time, looked at him. He says, "You look like your mom, but you got your dad's hairline."
I messed up his mind.
Oh my gosh.
When we were over at Walmart,
Yeah.
we were in there and I said, Dave Ludiker was a deputy sheriff.
Yeah.
And she worked with him down there. And I said, "My David." I said, "David," I said, "I want to introduce you to your dad."
Yeah.
I said, "David?" Ludiger said, "What?" I said, "This is your son, David. David, this is your dad."
David's eyes got about as big as silver dollar. You're like, what?
That's funny.
I ain't right upstairs.
No, he's not.
Yeah, I joke like that too. That's hilarious.
Gotta have fun with him. That's why David never trusted me much.
He still comes around. Whether you trust you or not, he still comes around, huh?
Yeah, he was here last Saturday,
Yeah.
Saturday before.
Saturday before.
Yeah. Well, three of us went down and seen Jean's sister. And then they took us out to eat down there where Carter's Lumber used to be. It's called the Axe Hole,
Oh,
where you can throw axes and
I've heard
stuff.
about that. Did you eat there? You
Yeah.
eat there, huh?
Yeah.
They got a bar in there,
Hmm.
kind of restaurant type.
It's almost like a
That's in
sport
Defiance?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
on old 24.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a sports bar type thing.
Very cool. Might have to go check that out. I like throwing axes. I asked Corbin if he wanted to go throw axes for his birthday, and he said, "I can do that in my backyard." I said, "Yeah, you can. We have a little thing set up. We throw stuff out."
Yeah,
I
there's.
thought it'd be fun.
I guess they're trying to get people around to be able to have tournaments and stuff like that.
Very cool.
You know, they got a couple games in there. Got a pool table and
Nice.
very nice
I might
place.
go check it out.
Beautiful inside there.
Food was good.
Yeah, yeah. It's just bar food. You know,
Yeah.
That's the
and
best food, though.
that was the first time I ever had deep fried pickles.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh
really?
my
They're
God.
good,
I
aren't they?
love
That's one of my
deep fried
favorites.
pickles.
If you ever Iron Horse in Sherwood,
Yeah, they
they're
make
kind of
good.
pricey.
Yeah,
But they have
we've been
dill
down there a couple
pickle
times.
straws.
really.
And they're the dill pickles, but they're straws. Oh,
Real thin.
the breading is good. They're
Our
really
best
good.
deep fried pickles was at a place called
Quaker Steak and Lube.
which they used to have one in Fort Wayne, but I think it closed down. And then they have one. Where do we always go? Up by Chicago, Valparaiso.
Mm.
I think Valparaiso has it because I worked with a guy that had a rental in Chicago, and I'd have to go up there and right outside of it and go work on it every once in a while. When we'd go, we'd stop at Quaker Steak and Lube. It was the only one. Then they put one in Fort Wayne. Now that closed, but they have the best deep fried pickles, right? They put
Yeah, they had
Parmesan
that.
on them. Then
They had ranch dressing. Oh my!
Oh gosh,
my
that
goodness!
sounds so good.
They got then we got an order of like mozzarella sticks and breaded mushrooms.
Yeah,
Ew.
I love
Oh, I
that.
love
Ew.
mushrooms.
I love those
Whoa.
too.
We do
Ew.
too.
Yeah, she don't like mushrooms.
No, I do.
Yeah, I do.
All right, guys, I know that was a long one, but that Chief Laney can talk. He's got some stories. I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button for this video. Share us out if you can. We'll see you guys next time.
Where Mama and Papa used to go. Let's sing all them songs from a long time